Sup?
What the? Where am I? Is a that well full of TNT? Don't have to worry about it until nighttime. I'll be perfectly safe in the other side of the world. I feel like dying. Creeper, no, do not die. You'll kill us all. Don't feel like living. Wait, no. Meanwhile, in our side of the world, where's that sound? Oh shit.
Finally got rid of all the Vexes. I think I can dig into the treasure room now that they're gone. I don't see any more Illagers outside anyway. Huh? Oh no.
Oh.
Well, hello there, I'm Anxious Cynic, and thanks for joining me for another Minecraft animation compilation. As per usual, this is going to be the review portion of the video, so I'm going to go ahead and watch these submissions for the first time and give my thoughts. So this is a pretty short submission, there's not a whole lot to critique here. You know, basic flat kind of lighting, everything seems pretty adequate for a quickly made submission for a competition. What I would say here, this looks kind of weird, but maybe that's the goal. The main thing I would say about this submission, besides lack of sound effects, having some sound effects in there would be fine. It's only like a 10-second submission, so come on, put a little extra work in there and get some sound effects. Anyway, is the churns here. Like this is happening really quickly. There's, it would benefit a little bit from some delayed motion, let's say. Besides that, just kind of a thematic note here, would have added a little bit more anticipation to this and made it a little bit more cartoony if you had put a particle emitter up here on the fuse of the apparent dynamite stick and have like some sizzle sound effect, whatever, and build a little bit of anticipation there of like, oh, and especially if you animated it burning down. So yeah, that would have been pretty good. And your explosion here is a little lackluster. It's just kind of some smoke or whatever. It doesn't even fully encompass the scene. If you had that kind of fill up the whole frame with an explosion, and then by the time you can see him again, he's flopping down, maybe a little bit better. Also, the scaling on the chest there is kind of wonky. So this might be a bit of a derpy submission, but I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. I like the sound effects. I like the animation of the character. Quality here seems a bit bad. I'm not quite sure why that is, but anywho, nice lighting on the torch there. A lot of people forget to put, point lights or whatever on the torch, some glow, etc. In general, even though it's such a simple scene here, everything seems to be pretty well done, and despite his infatuation with getting over it, Burr is a pretty good animator. The climb up here onto this block looks really good, and I think the self-portrait nature that he did with the Steve here I think really works well. It kind of brings the artist personality into the submission. So the first thing about this submission is I like how you incorporate a bit of a story into it, and even incorporated the Forbidden Flatlands into the story. In terms of animation quality, it's all pretty basic, but it's kind of hard to judge this one due to the very minimalist style of it. One thing I would say, when you're dealing with textures like this on a skin where there's no variations, lighting is a bit more important. So just having it kind of being, I don't know, I guess backlit here, it appears a bit too flat, especially against the very complex look of all this TNT texture for the ground. So it just kind of stands out a bit weird. But story-wise, I don't really get, it's kind of weird, the layout here. I get it's a big flat land, so you don't really have landmarks to judge by, but the text, it's on the other side of the world and everything. I get that, but maybe having a camera zoom from the main character's position to this, so it's like it shows the viewer that we're traveling to a place and gives you some orientation of where the characters are to each other. That would have been helpful. In any case, I found that the dialogue voice was a little bit low, so I would have to turn my volume up in order to hear it. Not that that's, that could just be an issue on my end, but yeah, just make sure your levels are good. Usually about -6 to -3 is where I try to get my levels on the decibels meter, so that's just a little tip there. But anyway, I guess this is supposed to represent like a wave of explosion coming towards him from the world blowing up. I understand if having a huge particle system wide enough to encompass this would have been daunting and wreck the performance of your computer, but what I would have done, if that is what it's supposed to represent, first of all, I don't even think it's moving, it's just kind of sitting there, and maybe I'm wrong in my assumption that that's what it's supposed to be, but if that's what it was supposed to be, the way I would do that is just narrow your field of view, like zoom in on the camera, so you use less particles and then animate the particles coming towards them, and then also sound effects would have helped that. And of course, Blue Hedgehog Gamer comes in hot with that very interesting and unique style. Really seems like he's honing his skills in even more, developing this. The cinematography, the animation, the lighting, everything, all the effects are very well done. Sound effects galore, everything seems to fit, very enjoyable to watch. It definitely seems, you know, like it was executed with some skill and a little bit beyond just making a submission for a competition, but really just showcasing the skill level and the artistry behind making a compelling in product, animation, movie, whatever you want to call it. There's not much I can really say about this that's much of a critique. I think everything was really well done. But just as a note, we've gotten a few submissions here with custom voice work, and as I've said before, I always love when you guys put like more personal content into it, using voice work and things like that, telling a story. It's always great to see people going that extra mile and creating an enjoyable viewing experience. Again, telling a story, adding character and emotion to scenes. This really felt like watching like a scene from a Saturday morning cartoon or something. So yeah, very good work here. Coming in with another finely crafted story of an animation is Awkward Bunyan, and this one was pretty cool too. I like the setup and the story being told. Again, seems like a little bit of custom voice work there. I love the bit with the torch falling off. I don't know, it's one of those little things. It's just to add a little detail, starting a fire, and he seems completely oblivious to it. Now, the only thing that really stuck out to me is the Riverside Orphanage versus Big Cliff. I was really hoping there would be a twist where he took it to the orphanage instead of the cliff. Maybe that's just my dark sense of humor, but I thought it would be hilarious if if it was like a little twist where he took it to the orphanage instead. But yeah, pretty good work here. The main thing, like again, there's little things I could comment on here and there, but the teetering of the thing here, the TNT, is the main thing that stuck out to me. It's like it moves a little bit too much, like there's some force behind it. And again, you know, this is a short animation and stuff, I get it, but having the teetering be a little bit more organic would have helped a little bit. And then when it finally falls, like that little kind of a hop there it does, it just didn't quite have that fluid organic motion. But besides that, excellent work. And I love the incorporation of the goat into it, even though the goats in Minecraft are just pointless. I was very disappointed with that update. So for this animation by Redstone Generations, I like how, you know, you went with the same thing as Blue Hedgehog with the desert temple. The first thing, like the animation quality and everything seems pretty good. Again, not using Minimator especially, but the scene here, you have some sound effects, and that's fine. But with the kind of glorious sound, it would have been nice to have a bit of like glow or something, you know, kind of maybe a premonition where the chest is open and you just see this like treasure with light beaming out of it would have helped that a little bit. As it is, it's a little bit plain. You just have to go by the sound effects to kind of get the idea that he's really enamored by this discovery. Just a little detail there. Otherwise, you know, technically speaking, it's all pretty good. I like how it zooms out to this kind of 2D dimensional, there we go, view. I think Blue Monkey is one of the first people I saw do that. I don't know if it was inspired by his work, but yeah, still, I liked it quite a bit. The one thing here I would have liked to see is some destruction, like maybe smoke pluming out of the doorway or the top blowing off of the pyramid. Something like that would have been kind of cool to add a little emphasis. Maybe if the camera was zoomed out further, you could see like smoke plume out of the top and a little glimpse of Steve flying up with it, you know, something like that. And then the long delay before you hear him scream and fall down. Custom textures there showing damage from the explosion. Cool. Maybe a little bit of like some burn marks, you know, darkened skin a little bit would have helped sell that even a little better. But either way, nice touch. And overall, good work. And for our final submission here, this one was actually pretty interesting. I liked the kind of the setup and the long kind of storytelling aspect to it with the payoff at the end. The main thing that stuck out to me in the beginning is the walk cycle here. I've noticed this same kind of walk cycle in the Black Plasma Studios animations, and it's always bothered me that the legs are never straight, they're always bent. You don't necessarily have to make them 100% straight, but when the character is going to take that forward step, you're typically not having a very bent leg like that. So it's just, you know, you can have your own style and everything. That's just one thing I've never really liked, that kind of look to a walk cycle. This, I assume, was intentional, but it stands out kind of weird. It doesn't really come off to me like a stylized, you know, joke or whatever you want to call it, to kind of show him noping out of the situation, because everything else is kind of animated the same, except for, you know, he slides out there. So I would have, I don't know, you need sound effects or something there to suggest that that was intentional, and there's kind of a wink and a nod to the viewer that this is an intentional way of him getting out of that situation. See, right here in this scene, you follow up with the kind of almost time-lapse nature, so I get that. It does seem like you're trying to introduce some of those little stylized elements there, so it worked pretty well here, I would say. It's just, you know, you need those, I don't know, it's just one of those things maybe you learn over time. You gotta have something there that establishes those things. The other thing here with the Enderman, it was a little bit confusing because he takes the exact same block. So with this one, he trades his jukebox for the TNT, and then here he trades the TNT for the jukebox. Because of the way it happens, it's kind of confusing in the terms of the timeline. It seems like we might be going back into the past a bit, where he's coming in with, like, you know, he's got nothing when he shows up. He takes the jukebox, but then in the previous scene he has the jukebox, so it's kind of like a confusing timeline situation there. What I probably would have done here is just had him show up with the TNT, and then maybe instead of another jukebox he finds something else. But yeah, I don't know, it's kind of confusing the way the timeline works here. So maybe if you wanted to do it exactly how you did it, I would perhaps show like the guy walk inside, cut and establish to this guy and what he's doing, show the Enderman take the jukebox, cut back to this, show him trade it, cut back to this where he has the TNT and he blows him up. Something like that. Either way, I like the way the explosion works and you just see the dude fling into the air. Good job on that. Just a little bit of confusion with the story there, and I like how this dude is just completely oblivious and enjoying his new jukebox. Alright guys, as I stretch, that is gonna do it for me. Hope you enjoyed that review, hope it was helpful, hope it was insightful in some way. But I think our winner for this competition is gonna be Blue Hedgehog Gamer. I think with the stylization, the animation, the editing, the storytelling, staying on point of the theme, all that stuff just came together the best in this submission. Every time Blue Hedgehog enters, he's always a force to be contended with. So yeah, I think he deserved to take it for this one. Hope you guys agree. If you don't, feel free to chime in the comments. But that's where we're going to leave it. He's going to get to pick the next theme. Join the Discord if you want to participate. And I will see you guys in the next video.